So let's talk about the new movie Belle. Its star is Gugu Mbatha-Raw, a fantastic cast though: Tom Wilkinson, Miranda Richardson, Penelope Wilton and Emily Watson. You'll hear from Tom Wilkinson and the director Amma Asante in just a moment. First of all, here's a clip.
Born on English soil.
Indeed. He discovered her mother aboard a captured Spanish slave ship.
So, now we have 2 nieces in our guardianship.
No, Elizabeth was in much need of a companion.
And that is what we shall say when questions are asked.
We shall say that in accordance with her birthright, she is entitled to live beneath this roof. That is the nature of order.
And where in that order should her colour be placed? Above or below her Murray bloodline?
And that's a clip from Belle, and I'm delighted to say I've been joined by Amma Asante and Tom Wilkinson, the director and one of the stars of the movie. Amma and Tom, hello.
Hello.
Hi, hello.
Thanks very much indeed for joining us from glamorous Kenwood House in North London, which is immediately relevant to the story, which we'll get to in a moment. But Tom, it's very good to welcome you back to the show. You've had a big influence on the intervening sort of year and a half since you've been on, when you came on and you told us off for pronouncing Scarlett Johansson wrong. And
Johansson is right.
Yes.
Johansson is wrong.
Yeah, it was Mark who'd been saying Johansson, and so you came on and told us off. And then you also said it was very important to ask for the and. This is on movie credits, and because there was a movie that you had asked for the and, or someone had asked for the and, because it was and Tom Wilkinson. And in this movie, I see Emily Watson has got the and.
Oh, yeah, what? Yeah, do I have anything? There's a with. You can do a with.
A with, yes,
A
of
with
course.
isn't quite as good as an and, but it's pretty good.
Anyway, it's very good to have you back on the show, Tom. Amma, this story which you have uncovered of Dido Elizabeth Belle, which sounds almost like a Disney name immediately.
It does, yeah.
Tell us where you found this story, and tell us how you made this movie.
Well, the story and the movie both are inspired by a wonderful 18th century painting which today hangs in Scone Palace in Scotland. And it's a really unusual painting. It depicts a woman of colour, a mixed-race woman, a young woman, alongside her cousin, who was actually raised as her sister. And the 2 women in the painting are treated with equal value, which is something that was very unusual for its time and its period. And so it really inspired me to tell the story of Dido Elizabeth Belle, who's the woman of colour, and her uncle, Lord Mansfield, who Tom plays, who was the highest judge in the land at the time and who chose to adopt her.
Can you just fill in a bit of detail here about the painting, because it is, and there are quite a few paintings throughout the movie, but in this it's remarkable because Belle's character, Dido's character, is looking out at us.
Yes.
And they're sort of equal, while she's slightly behind her cousin, but she's engaging us as an equal, and that makes it significant. It's certainly different to all the other paintings that you have in the movie.
It does. I mean, having a painting with a white person and a person of colour in the 18th century wasn't unusual. But the norm was that the person of colour was usually a servant or a slave, lower down in the painting, never looking out at the painter, always looking up in awe and reaching out towards the sort of main protagonist, the main muse in the painting. And in this, it's actually, everything is the other way round. Elizabeth Murray, who is Dido Belle's cousin, is staring out at the painter alongside Dido, who's staring out also. And it's actually Elizabeth who's reaching out to Dido, drawing her eye to Dido. And as you say, Dido is painted with equal value. She's the same height in the painting as Elizabeth, rather than being painted lower down. And this is really unusual in art history for this kind of English painting.
Now, what were the facts around which you told the story? What do we absolutely know of this woman?
Well, we know that Dido Belle was brought to her uncle's home, which was Kenwood House, in 1766. She was 6 years old. She was brought there, and her uncle at the time was the Lord Chief Justice of England, the highest judge in the land. And he adopted her with his wife and raised her as an equal, to another niece that they were raising at the time, Elizabeth Murray. And we know that this happened. We know that Lord Mansfield had a great deal of love for Dido. There was a great paternal love that he felt for her, and that through his courage and his love for her, he made the choice to raise her as an aristocrat, a black woman in 18th century England who was raised as an aristocrat.
Tom, he's a remarkable man. I have to say I knew nothing of Lord Chief Justice Mansfield, yes, or the legal trial which you're giving your verdict on through the movie. What did you know? Had you heard of him before?
No. I was aware that was a time of great transition in English history, but Lord Mansfield was a bit of a mystery to me, that's for sure.
But a truly remarkable man, and who believes more. This movie will be a huge hit, I think, and one of the groups of people who might like it, which maybe has been underreported, is people who believe in the law and barristers and legal types, because here is a man who the law is everything to him. And it's the logic that it gives his worldview which dictates the way he looks at this remarkable woman. I mean, that's how I took it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, we have this kind of situation in this country of the law. You know, there isn't a constitution as such, and so laws are established by people, and their practice is established by people generation after generation. And I think this is this is something that Lord Mansfield felt very strongly, that somehow you had to be involved personally in the law in order to sort of, to prove its truthfulness and prove its worth, as opposed to just simply relying on, it's in the Constitution, and therefore we can have 6 guns in our house, so that's okay. We don't have to think about it.
Amma, this trial, it's not a trial, this legal case which the Chief Justice is working his way through, and which Dido is sort of has some kind of impact on. Just tell us a little bit, without spoiling the movie too much, but tell us about the Zong massacre trial, which is sort of one of the many themes that runs through the film.
Well, whilst Lord Mansfield is raising his adopted daughter Dido, he is also presiding over the appeal of a trial in which over 100 slaves were jettisoned overboard into the waters, chained together, and it is the captain of the ship declares that the reason that he had to do it is because the ship was in danger, and he then is choosing to claim insurance on these human beings that he drowned. And the question for Lord Mansfield, the question for the Supreme Court is, was this legal? And if it was, then the insurance must pay. The insurers must pay. And if it wasn't, then the captain should not actually get any money for these drowned slaves. And Lord Mansfield's area of law in particular was shipping law, was marine law, and that's why this case comes to him. If depending on which way he rules, there's the possibility that it will have a huge impact on the slave trade in the UK, and our sort of contribution to the slave trade from the UK. And we were the middlemen. Britain was the middleman in terms of going to Africa, picking up the slaves and providing them to the Americas and the West Indies. And so this particular case is going to have a huge impact. And let's make no mistake, at the time, if your cargo threatened the safety of your ship for any reason, you could jettison your cargo, and in order to save the ship. And so the question here is, was there a reason, a good reason? Was it necessary to do this? And in some ways it's a complex question, but I think that when it's entwined in the story, it's very easy for the audience to get, and you kind of understand how Lord Mansfield's relationship with Dido may or may not have an impact on his decision in the Zong case.
And what does Tom, as far as the movie is concerned, what impact does Dido have on your decision as Lord Chief Justice? Can you tell us?
Well, it's not clear what you, and nor should it be clear, what you see over the course of the movie is the sort of developing love and respect that Lord Mansfield has for Dido. I mean, she becomes his assistant. She's very competent. She's politically very passionate, which he is. You don't quite see. He observes it without sort of endorsing it. And then, towards the end of the movie, or at the very end of the movie, you see somehow how his relationship with Dido may have influenced his judgment on this insurance case. But it's never explicit, and nor should it be. But what's interesting is that relationship. It's a good relationship, and it's beautifully done in the film.
Also, we sort of unearth a little bit of your earlier radicalism, or your wife does, anyway.
Yeah. There is that. Don't criticise these kids because you were just like it when you were their age, which is something I hear myself from my wife.
Amma, can you explain? I mean, the central performance of Gugu and Mbatha-Raw, which you haven't mentioned, so it is extraordinary. Was she always the woman that you wanted for this role?
Well, I knew Gugu for quite some time prior to her coming in to audition for the role, and she was always very, very much on my mind for this part, as she was for the producer, Damien Jones, as well. You know, when you're making an independent film, you have to constantly convince your financiers that you are making decisions for the right reasons, and that you know you've been really exhaustive, if you like, in your search. And so we practically auditioned every single biracial girl of about the right age that was an actress in the UK. And Gugu was always there, sort of head and shoulders above Gugu has an innate sense of grace, which is perfect for the period. She's smart. She understood the kind of story that I wanted to tell. She understood the nuances. She understood the journey that I wanted to take her character on, from girl to woman, with this political awakening. If you like, a character that goes from saying "as you wish, sir" to "as I wish." And she was a great partner in crime, if you like, for me along this journey. And, you know, she read every draft of the script as the script was developing, and I just knew she would, because, you know, this story is a love story, and Dido Belle's character has a great love story in it, but this is also very much a paternal love story. This is very much a story about father and daughter, and I just thought Tom and Gugu would just make a great team on screen, and their relationship is incredibly moving. And despite the fact that I've seen the movie 1,000 times, there is a point in the movie that I always get to where I have to wipe away a tear, because it's I don't think there's anything more beautiful than a father-daughter relationship. It's a lovely relationship. And
also should mention this movie is dedicated to your father, who passed away while you were filming.
That's right, he did. He passed away, and I had to shoot elements of the court scene with Tom Wilkinson and Gugu and Mbatha-Raw the next day. I have to say, Tom was incredible in helping me get through that particular day, where it felt like I was sort of in the middle of an earthquake for most of it, because, you know, the day after your father dies, or the morning after, you feel like your ground is constantly moving. But we got through it, and I must say, I think some of the strongest moments in the movie come from that day of filming. And I actually don't remember much of that day of filming, but I look at it on screen and I think, you know, I'm pretty happy with the job I did, and the extraordinary performances of my really great cast.
Were they difficult days, Tom, to work through?
They weren't difficult. You can't allow them to be difficult. I mean, you just have to understand what's happening, be as sympathetic as you can. And I'm sorry, but it's a cliche, but you say, well, you know, life must go on, and this is...
It must.
You know, this is our life, and so they weren't difficult. They were something else. I can't really quite think what they were.
I think what happens is the energy changes in some way, and I think that for me it was so interesting that the scenes that we were going to be shooting were very importantly a very special father-daughter moment. And for me, it meant that I put so much of my energy into ensuring that we all got that right on screen, as a sort of testament, if you like, and to honour the love that I felt for my father, and I know that he felt for me, and I think that comes across. It is an incredibly moving relationship, and in so many ways I based the characterisation of Lord Mansfield on my own father, who very much was this man of rules, and really felt the conflict inside him, because he was very much a man of his time in one sense, but he also had this other foot so firmly placed in being progressive, and a man ahead of his time. And I think what Tom does so brilliantly in the movie is show that kind of internal conflict that's going on, and then reaches a place because of the love of his daughter and because of his own sense of the world, where he's at peace with that, with the two sides of himself. And that's very much what Gugu's character Belle has to do in the film. She has to come to terms with all these different elements of herself that society says are contradictions, and be happy with all of those things, with kind of bringing all of those things together, all of those things that make her who she is. This is very much a movie about identity as well. And I felt I very much found my identity, my voice as a director, putting this movie together through what I learned from my cast and the whole process.
We are right out of time. Tom, is it President Johnson for you next? That's the movie Selma?
Yes, next week I get to play LBJ.
Which we will look forward to, and hopefully we'll speak to you for that one as well. It won't feature, it won't be with Tom Wilkinson and Tom Wilkinson. It will be starring Tom Wilkinson.
I don't know.
Tom Wilkinson and Amma Asante, thank you very much indeed.
Thank
you so much. Thank you.